My name is Catherine Sweeney, and I'm 51 years old. I'm a stay-at-home wife. Our kids have all moved out, so now it's just me and my husband, Bob, who's 4 years older than me. Bob, who has a strong desire for career promotion, has always attended dinners with his clients and drinking with his boss almost every day.
Man, it's crazy. People are already calling me the next department manager, and nothing's even been decided yet.
I can just picture Bob's smug little grin. He's heading out for drinks again tonight.
My boss, Carl, called me up again. I won't be back tonight. Don't lock the door, all right?
Hey, is it really Carl this time?
Huh?
I flashed a smile at Bob as he turned around. You don't need to lie. Enjoy your last supper with Carl's daughter.
What are you talking about? There's no his daughter coming.
I'd already figured it out. What started as work dinners had turned into an excuse to cover up his affair. Even in a company that likes to socialize, it's weird to have these dinners almost every night. Seriously though, do you really need to go to all these dinners to get promoted? I decided to let Bob squirm a little.
You wouldn't understand, Catherine. You're just a housewife with no clue about how the world works. It's at these dinners where bonds are made, and those bonds help move things along at work. Everyone who had been promoted had a high participation rate in these dinners.
Is that how it works? I guess I just don't get it. Once something bothers me, I can't help but dig into it. So, I hired a private investigator to look into Bob's cheating. As the result, he had an affair. Not only was Bob having an affair with a much younger woman, but all those nights he didn't come home, supposedly at dinners or meetings, were spent secretly meeting up with her. I had all the evidence in hand. 10 years ago, when I first discovered his affair, I decided not to take action. Our kids were still in high school, and I figured it wasn't a good time to go through a messy divorce. I'll just wait until they get jobs, but after that. And now, the time had finally come. I decided to pull out the information I'd been sitting on for 10 years. What's wrong? You look like a fish gasping for air. So, it really is the daughter, right?
Huh?
Yeah, I said. Enjoy your affair with Carl's daughter.
What?
Bob looked totally confused. But there was also a hint of panic in his expression, clearly unsure of what was going on. I know about your 10-year-long affair with Carl's daughter. How could you betray me and our kids like that?
Wait, hold up. Carl's daughter? What are you talking about? I'm seeing a girl from the secretary department. Oh.
Even though his affair had already been exposed, Bob clamped his hand over his mouth like he just let something slip. Yep, that secretary girl. She's Carl's daughter. You know, the company's CEO.
That doesn't make any sense. No one ever told me anything like that.
Ashley Wilson, 33 years old, the only daughter of Carl Wilson, the CEO of Virtual Dynamics. She graduated from a college and joined the company 10 years ago, assigned to the second sales department. She's now working in the secretary department.
How do you even know her full name and where she's assigned?
I told you, I had a private investigator check everything. Your little secretary is Carl's daughter.
No way.
Bob let out a laugh, waving his hand in front of his face like one of the gossiping neighbors. Then how about this? I pulled a photo from a clear file and handed it to Bob.
Ashley. And Carl.
Believe me now?
Oh no, what am I gonna do? I seriously didn't know. If Carl finds out I've been messing around with his daughter, I'm screwed.
Apparently, Carl doted on his only daughter, Ashley, spoiling her all her life.
Every time I drink with Carl, all he talks about is his daughter. It's honestly a little creepy how obsessed he is with her. And now it turns out, it's Ashley.
Bob crumpled onto the floor, clutching his head. Honestly, messing around with a girl 20 years younger than you was a huge mistake. How did it even start?
Well,
Bob started to speak slowly, hesitating between words.
Ashley joined the company straight out of college, and she got assigned to my department. Back then, there weren't many people around her age, so I became her mentor. She always put her heart into everything, and I found myself drawn to her.
Drawn to her?
Yeah, she was one of those rare young people who are really motivated these days. She'd ask me for advice and tell me about her work problems, not to her peers, but to me. It made me feel special, like I was the only one she could open up to.
What is that supposed to mean?
We got closer over time, and eventually, she confessed her feelings to me. I mean, I'd noticed how often we made eye contact and how much she'd touch me, so I knew she liked me, but
He kept emphasizing how it was her who made the first move, as if that excused him. Didn't you feel any guilt about cheating?
I did, but when Ashley confessed, I didn't feel bad about it.
So, you didn't think about me or our kids at all. That's disappointing.
What? You guys wouldn't be living so comfortably if I hadn't been going to all those business dinners. Isn't that enough for you?
And who's been dragging your drunk self up to the bedroom every time you come home wasted? Who's been cleaning up after you every time you throw up? You cause all this trouble, and yet you're the only one taking credit for everything?
What the hell?
Bob completely forgot that he wasn't the one in the right here and lashed out at me. He had more important things to deal with right now, didn't he? Are you sure about that? I could go tell Carl about your affair right now. At that moment, Bob's entire demeanor changed. He knew that would be a disaster, and the anger he had been directing at me vanished, like a stove's flame being turned down.
Right, yeah, that's the real problem. Should I break it off with Ashley right now? I mean, maybe, but then again.
What's there to hesitate about? Do you really have to think about it? Watching my husband struggle with the idea of giving up his mistress while being a married man was pathetic and more than enough to make me lose any remaining affection for him. Seeing him shake in fear made him look like a helpless little animal.
I've come this far. I worked so hard to go to all those dinners, took on the messy jobs just to get noticed by my bosses, and made sure I stood out.
I'm not against work dinners altogether, but there are limits. You don't need to go every single time, and I doubt your boss even expects that. I thought Bob was putting his efforts into the wrong things, but as a stay-at-home wife, I kept my mouth shut.
And I even forced myself to take up golf just to get on Carl's good side. I don't even like the sport.
Then why didn't you just stop? No one's forcing you to play.
Are you kidding me? Those rounds of golf with Carl every weekend were crucial for me. It's thanks to those that he thinks so highly of me and that I'm being considered for the next department head.
Bob gazed off into the distance with a blissful expression. Watching everything he's built come crashing down would be so satisfying. Just imagining it gave me goosebumps.
Carl once said his daughter is so precious to him. She's like a late miracle child he'd protect at all costs.
Looks like you're the one who'll be feeling the pain instead then. Bob glared at me, clearly wanting to say something. He just stared silently. If you've got something to say, go ahead.
You said you've known for 10 years, right?
That's right.
Why didn't you tell me earlier?
I didn't think it was the right time.
You should have told me, right? Were you mocking me? Was watching me think I was getting away with it entertaining for you? Were you just sitting back and observing me like some kind of experiment?
He leaned in, rattling off his questions. His warm breath uncomfortably hit my face. I recoiled in disgust.
You knew I was cheating, and yet you stayed married to me all this time. So that's how little you cared about me? Or were you just incapable of feeling anything at all?
Bob looked down at me, almost mockingly. Even after his affair was exposed, he still seemed confident that I'd love him. I had to admire his misplaced confidence. When I found out you were cheating, I lost any feelings I had for you. And if anything, it's because I do have emotions that I'm here now, planning my revenge.
Revenge?
That's right. I had no obligation to tell you, so I kept it as my trump card for when the time was right. And that time is now.
Now? Do you realize what'll happen if this gets out at work? I'll lose my promotion, and worse, I could get fired.
Well, you messed with Carl's beloved daughter, so that's only fair, right? Cheating always comes with risks.
You just need to keep quiet. I'll talk to Ashley and straighten this out. Got it? You keep your mouth shut and don't do anything stupid. Understand?
Is that really how you ask someone for a favor? Bob still didn't understand the situation he was in. I had all the evidence in my hands. He needed to realize he wasn't in control anymore.
Don't get cocky with me. If I lose my jobs, you'll be in trouble too.
I won't be in trouble.
What?
I said I won't be in trouble. Didn't you hear me? Bob's eyes bulged in disbelief. But he quickly regained his composure, giving me a smug, mocking smile.
Won't you be in trouble? You're just a stay-at-home wife. What are you gonna do without a steady income? Stop pretending you've got it all figured out.
I'm not pretending. You and I will be strangers soon enough, so I don't care if you lose your job. I calmly placed a divorce paper on the table, something I'd been holding on to for a while. Of course, I had already filled out my part. Bob picked it up, and for a moment, I saw panic flash across his face, but he quickly masked it.
Are you really gonna throw away your whole future on a whim?
No, I'm not throwing it away. I'm taking it back. I'm reclaiming the part of myself I sacrificed for you.
Don't act like a novelist.
Oh, maybe I should write a book. A wife's revenge on her cheating husband. Though that might be a bit tacky.
You're acting all confident now, but you're just a housewife. Divorce me, and your future's looking pretty bleak.
When Bob said bleak, he was talking about money. It's true that at my age, it's almost impossible to find a full-time job. However, with some savings to lean on, I should be able to get by with temp work or something similar. It's a far better option than leaving with nothing. How sweet of you to care about my well-being. But don't worry, I plan on collecting alimony from you and Ashley. I smiled as if discussing something pleasant, while Bob stared at me in shock. Why are you so surprised? I'm just stating the obvious. You cheated, so I'll demand alimony.
So that's why you said you wouldn't be in trouble.
Oh, and by the way, Ashley still lives with her parents, right? I'll be sending the alimony papers to her houses, So Carl's gonna find out no matter what.
Please don't do that. I'll hand them to Ashley myself. Just don't send them to Carl's house.
What should I do? I pulled the prepared alimony papers out of my bag and fanned myself with them. The tables had completely turned. Watching Bob, now clinging to me in desperation, was incredibly satisfying. I don't trust you anymore. Maybe I should just drop them in the mailbox myself. You can tell her to check it every day if you want.
I can't rely on something that is uncertain. And besides,
Bob clenched his fists at his sides, his knuckles white. And besides?
I don't want to divorce you.
His tone was pleading, but I knew it wasn't because he wanted to stay with me. It was painfully obvious. You don't want a divorce? Let me guess, it's because you're worried about your image?
It's not just about that. This is important to me.
No, it's pathetic. You're afraid of what people will say at the company if you get divorced at your age. And more than that, you're scared of losing the trust of your business partners. I hit the nail on the head, and Bob hung his head, clearly ashamed. You've always said, a man who isn't married by a certain age isn't trusted. A man without a family has no sense of responsibility and can't be relied on. Was that what your clients or bosses said? You just took their words at face value, didn't you?
No, that's not it at all.
Don't bother lying. I'm not going to sacrifice the rest of my life just to maintain your fragile image. We're getting divorced, becoming strangers, and you're paying me alimony. That's the end of it.
I won't accept that. I'm going to keep my jobs, my houses, and I'm going to have it all.
Bob laughed, still refusing to admit defeat. But he didn't realize that he had already lost. Hate to ruin your mood, but... I cut in, and Bob immediately stopped laughing, looking over at me. Whether we get divorced or not, your position at the company is already gone.
What do you mean?
He was starting to panic. Right on cue, the doorbell rang, signaling the start of the next chapter. Just a second. I opened the door to see a man in his 70s with an air of authority standing beside a woman in her early 30s.
Hello, I'm Carl Wilson. This is my daughter, Ashley.
Nice to meet you. My husband always speaks highly of you at work.
Come on, you should greet them too.
I'm Ashley Wilson.
Nice to meet you. Facing Bob's mistress made my heart race. But I couldn't show it. I was about to corner Bob even further.
Hey, what's taking so long? Was it the delivery guy?
Bob's irritated voice came from the living room. Come in, please. Bob's in the living room. I welcomed him inside.
How long does it take to handle a delivery? We were in the middle of an important conversation.
Yeah, I know. We're about to have that important conversation.
Yeah, Wait, how come Carl is here?
Bob spun around, and when he saw Carl, he practically jumped out of his seat like a character in a cartoon.
Sorry for the intrusion.
What are you doing here at my house, Carl?
I'm here to talk about my daughter.
Ashley.
When Ashley walked into the living room behind Carl, Bob's face turned pale as he instantly realized what was happening. Barely able to speak, he whispered to me.
Did you call Carl here? Is this your revenge?
I didn't call him.
Don't lie. Why else would he be here?
Stop, Bob. Your wife's telling the truth. I came here on my own.
So Ashley told him?
Well, when I was getting ready to go out with Bob, Dad suddenly started asking where I was going, who I was meeting with.
And you told him?
Then a text from Bob popped up on my phone at the worst possible time. It showed right on the screen, and he saw it.
Damn it. How many times did I tell you to turn off notifications for messages?
Because you sent it at that timing.
As they began blaming each other, Carl and I stood there watching, both equally unimpressed. I was just as surprised as anyone when Carl and Ashley showed up at my house today. I definitely hadn't invited them over. But I had told Carl about Bob's affair a few days ago. I had been thinking about getting a divorce for a while. Who knew it would turn into such an entertaining scenario? This is much more effective than handling it on my own. I silently thanked Carl in my mind. While I was thinking that, the conversation between the other three continued.
I noticed Ashley was dressing up more than usual. It wasn't how she dressed to meet her girlfriends and her fiancés overseas on business, so it wasn't for him.
Fatherly intuition at its finest. He could tell the difference between how his daughter dressed for men versus women. It showed how much attention he paid to her.
That's why I thought something was off. She wasn't going to meet her fiancé, but some other guy.
Wait a minute.
Bob leaned forward, interrupting.
Does she have a fiancé?
You didn't know? Ashley's engaged. She's set to marry the son of a CEO we do business with. He's the second son, and I was planning on having him take over my company eventually. And then you go and pull this stunt.
Hey, Ashley, you never told me about this. Were you playing me?
Playing you? You're a married man cheating on your wife. We were both just having fun. I always planned to end things with you once I was set to marry my fiancé.
Just having fun?
Of course. My fiancé's handsome, kind, successful, and will eventually take over my dad's company. Who do you think I'd rather be with?
I'm successful too. I'm on track to be the next department head.
Ashley crossed her arms and snorted.
Because you suck up at those ridiculous work dinners. I overheard the other bosses talking. They said you only get ahead because you're bad at your job and have to try hard at that stuff. Did you know they make fun of you behind your back?
That's a lie.
These days, networking over drinks doesn't cut it anymore. You're stuck in the past, Bob.
I've even received complaints from other employees. They say your behavior at those parties is out of line, forcing people to drink and then going on rants about how things were in your day.
He's the textbook definition of a problem employee. Bob, who had been so confident in his career tactics, looked stunned, his confidence crumbling in the face of Ashley and Carl's words. He was swaying as if someone had hit him over the head.
We're getting off track here. The point is, Ashley's fiance is important to the company. Do you understand what will happen to us if this gets out?
How was I supposed to know? I didn't even know Ashley was your daughter or that she had a fiancé.
Bob started making excuses, his words tumbling out. Sweat was dripping down his forehead in large beads.
The fact that you cheated on your wife and children is wrong. The fact that Ashley is my daughter is irrelevant.
Yes, sir.
I can't face her fiance's family like this, but I can't let her marry him without telling them the truth. As hard as it is, I'll have to be the one to explain.
Wait, Dad. I want to marry him.
Be quiet. I love you, Ashley, but I've spoiled you too much. It's my fault you turned out this way.
No. Please, Dad.
Realizing that she had finally angered her dad, who always listened to her, Ashley clung to Carl, who stood there with his arms crossed and a stern expression.
It's not like that, Dad. Please listen.
Not like what?
Bob's the one who came on to me.
What?
Bob.
When I was a new hire, I was working late one night, and he suddenly grabbed my hand. I was terrified, but he was my boss, so I couldn't resist. He even said that if I didn't comply, he wouldn't teach me anything.
Ashley covered her face with her hands and began crying softly.
Wait, no, it wasn't like that. She's the one who came on to me.
I won't tolerate anyone disrupting order in my company.
As Ashley cried into her hands, I caught a glimpse of her lips curling into a smirk. She was throwing Bob under the bus, playing the victim.
No, it wasn't me. It really was Ashley.
Bob frantically waved his hands, desperately denying everything.
From my perspective, and your wife's, it doesn't really matter who made the first move. The fact remains that you cheated, and nothing changes that.
I couldn't agree more with Carl.
Now that I know, I can't let this slide as your boss.
You can't let it slide.
Wait, are you saying I'm fired?
First, Ashley will be transferred to one of our branch offices. She'll get the discipline she clearly needs.
Seriously? But it's close enough to commute from home, right? I can't live on my own.
Of course, it'll involve moving. It's a good opportunity for you to leave home and start living on your own.
No way. I'll have to pay rent, and I won't be able to buy anything I want anymore. And all my friends are here.
Well, it's time you learn the value of money and how hard your mom works. You'll pay your rent, utilities, and groceries from your salary. You're 33 years old. It's about time you moved out.
Carl placed his hand on Ashley's shoulder.
No. I won't do it.
She shook his hand off and screamed at the top of her lungs.
No, no way.
Ashley, enough. You cheated on your fiancé with a married man and dragged our company's name through the mud. Be thankful you're just being transferred. If you hate it that much, you can quit.
Only then did Ashley finally quiet down.
Working and living on your own is better than being jobless and homeless.
I understand.
Though defeated, she nodded reluctantly, and Carl acknowledged it with a firm nod.
And as for you, Bob,
Yes.
I can't pass judgment on you right now since you're not family. You'll be informed of your punishment later.
Well,
What is it?
the matter of the next department head.
The next department head.
Yes, I've been told that I'm the frontrunner for the position. I was wondering what happened now.
What happens? Bob, the next department head, has already been decided. It's going to be Sean.
What? Sean? My co-worker.
Yes, he's much better suited for the role.
And what about me?
You were never in the running. Next department head. Who told you that?
Bob kept saying it himself. He's always like, I'm the boss's favorite, so of course, I'm next in line.
Because it's true.
You're great as a golf buddy, but for a promotion, not so much.
See? I told you. You were just a drinking buddy all along.
No, that can't be. I'm supposed to be the next department head.
Don't make me say it again. You were never considered for the position.
Being told the harsh truth so directly, Bob turned pale, as if all his energy had been drained. He slumped to the floor, staring blankly at the hardwood.
Well, we'll be leaving now. Catherine, I'm sorry for all the trouble.
No, I'm actually glad this is all out in the open.
Then we'll be off.
I'm sorry.
With that, Carl and Ashley left the house.
Wait,
Bob suddenly jumped up from the floor and ran after them. Hey, Bob! But he was already out the door, and the front door remained wide open. He's gone. Well, I guess that's that. I took out my phone and called a locksmith. Hello, I'd like to change my locks, please. The locksmith came quickly. The front door lock, please. About an hour later, the jobs was done. I need to get out of here before he comes back. I hurriedly packed my things and headed to my parents' house. He's going to be so shocked. I can't wait. I got into my car, stifling a laugh. The next morning, I woke up and checked my phone. There were over 50 missed calls from Bob. It seemed like he'd returned home about 30 minutes after chasing after Carl and Ashley, and then started frantically calling me. I didn't notice because I turned my phone off while I slept. I decided to call him back. Hello.
where the hell are you?
I'm at my parents' house.
Get back here right now. I can't get into the house.
Where were you last night?
I slept in the yard. I lost track of those two and came back, but the door wouldn't open, and I couldn't get a hold of you. I was bitten all over by mosquitoes, and now I'm itching like crazy. Get me some anti-itch cream.
Well, you left your wallet, didn't you? Couldn't even go to an internet cafe.
What's so funny? Just get back here now. I need a shower.
No.
What?
I changed the locks so you can't get back in.
You changed the locks?
Caught off guard by something so unexpected, Bob's voice cracked. He hadn't expected me to go that far.
What the hell are you doing? Are you locking me out?
I don't want to see you anymore. Oh, and don't worry, I'll send your stuff to your parents' place.
I can't believe this. Stop messing around.
I'm not messing around. I'll also send the divorce papers along with your things. Sign them and send them back to my parents' house.
Are you really going through with this?
That's why I told Carl about your affair. Revenge complete. Goodbye.
Damn it. Please give me another chance. I won't go to any more dinners, and I won't cheat again. I'll be a better husband.
I would have loved to hear that 10 years ago.
I'm sorry, Catherine. Please, I'm begging you.
No matter what you say, my mind is made up. This is 10 years in the making, so. I took a deep breath. It's over. Goodbye.
Wait.
I ignored his desperate plea and hung up the phone. It's finally over. It felt like a heavy weight had lifted from my shoulders. I rolled them around, savoring the sense of freedom. Then I stretched out and took a deep breath of the morning air. After that, Bob and I finalized our divorce. I thought he'd put up more of a fight, but it seemed his parents convinced him to go through with it. I received the alimony from both Bob and Ashley in one lump sum without any issues. As for Ashley, just like Carl had said, she was transferred to a distant branch. It's known to be the toughest location, and she's reportedly struggling every day. Bob managed to avoid being fired, but was demoted to assistant manager. Now, he has to work under his former junior coworkers, which must be humiliating. Apparently, everyone at work was confused by his sudden demotion, especially after he'd bragged so much about becoming the next department head. I hope he learns some humility and finally starts being valued for his actual work. As for me, I kept our house and am living there comfortably. I haven't touched the alimony yet, so I'm financially secure, but I'm considering getting a job again. I've been thinking about going for an interview for a part-time job soon.